It is easy to look at a character like Alex Jones and dismiss all conspiracy theorists as a bunch of inconsequential nutcases.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that?
But there are historical fakers who have been able to fly under the radar of media criticism and present themselves as a respectable part of the mainstream conversation. No one exemplifies this better than Robert Baer, a former CIA agent specializing in the Middle East, turned author and pundit. Baer was the model for George Clooney's character, Bob Barnes, in the 2005 film, Syriana.
Bob Baer, who wrote two beautiful books.
Baer was a critic of the Bush administration and a regular guest on left-leaning news programs in the early 2000s.
We fought a war on a lie, and that's the important issue, on a lie.
And to this day, distinguished programs and publications continue to call upon Baer for his insights.
You have a president that truly believes there is such a thing as a deep state. The FBI is at the center of the deep state and is out to get him. There simply has been no evidence brought forth to support that. There is no deep state, of course, John, but you know, what can you do?
But there is another side to Bob Baer's character that can be easily found on the so-called History Channel.
I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone gunman in Dealey Plaza. But I always believed he had a network supporting him. With these declassified files, I'm going to prove it. No one can hide in the shadows forever.
Baer is smart enough not to embrace the label of conspiracy theorist, but his actions betray the truth. Like so many conspiracy theorists before him, he likes to pretend that he has found some enormously significant facts, long buried by the government. But it's just a shell game designed to obscure the truth.
More than 2 million documents have been declassified in this case. But there's one document that jumped out at me right away. This is a classified conversation between President Johnson and FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover on November 23rd, 1963, the day after the assassination, in a meeting about Oswald. Here's LBJ. Have you established any more about the visit to the Soviet embassy in Mexico in September? J. Edgar Hoover, no, that's one angle that's very confusing. This is extraordinary. This evidence puts Oswald in the Soviet embassy 8 weeks before the assassination.
The fact that that's not been looked at closely, I don't get it.
Baer leaves his viewers to believe that no one, including the Warren Commission, ever looked into Oswald's visit to Mexico City, based on a single question that President Johnson asked in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. In reality, Chapter 6 of the Warren Report, Investigation of Possible Conspiracy, deals directly with this question in a section entitled Contacts with the Cuban and Soviet Embassies in Mexico City and the Soviet Embassy in Washington, D.C. It then goes on to break down a detailed chronological account of Oswald's trip in Appendix 13. It should also be noted that at the time Oswald visited Mexico City, he was trying to defect to Cuba, and he did not yet have a job at the school book depository. Nor had the president's visit to Dallas even been announced. But these are the kinds of half-truths and out-of-context facts the conspiracy theorists always employ to make their fraudulent arguments. Okay, so what? Baer's made some money sensationalizing JFK's assassination. He's hardly the first person to do this. It's not like he's a 9/11 truther or something, right? In fact, Baer has specifically denied being a 9/11 truther in print.
I myself have felt the pull of the conspiracy theorists who believe that 9/11 was an inside job, somehow pulled off by the US government. For the record, I don't believe that the World Trade Center was brought down by our own explosives, or that a rocket, rather than an airliner, hit the Pentagon. I spent a career in the CIA trying to orchestrate plots, wasn't all that good at it, and certainly couldn't carry off 9/11, nor could the real pros I had the pleasure to work with.
But this isn't the only thing he has said on the subject.
So are you just, personally of the opinion, I mean, not obviously you can't speak for the CIA or your previous activities with the agency, but are you of the opinion that there was an aspect of inside job to 9/11 within the U.S. government?
There's that possibility. The evidence points at it.
This is a video made by some professed 9/11 truthers after attending a 9/11 truther event with Bob Baer.
What does that have to do with these military war games that were completely mimetic of the 9/11 operation?
Look, I'm just saying, I'm with you. I got questions.
Yep, okay.
Again, Bob is too smart to label himself a conspiracy theorist or a truther. But why was he attending this event? And why can't he seem to stop himself from making up wild claims about conspiracy?
Last thing I would leave you with is National Reconnaissance Office was running a drill, a plane crashed into their building, and you know they're staffed by DOD and CIA.
I know the guy that went into his broker in San Diego and said, "Cash me out, it's going down tomorrow."
Really?
Yeah.
That tells us something.
What?
That tells us something.
Well, his brother worked in the White House.
What? Baer is claiming that he personally knows a guy who cashed out everything he owned on September 10th, 2001, because his brother, who worked at the White House, told him to. Who is this guy? And who is his brother? If these charges are true, they would be very easy to prove and very relevant to law enforcement. We are talking about acts of treason here.
The James Bond type, very few in intelligence are actually on the ground, and he has been on the ground all over the world. Robert Baer, thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Baer has even appeared on Alex Jones' radio program discussing 9/11.
We've been hiding information from the public on Iran for 30 years. I'm not an advocate of going to war with Iran, but one of the things that's greatly disturbed me getting to 9/11 is the evidence we had that Iran's participation in this was never given to the 9/11 Commission report. I'm not talking about, conspiracy theories. I'm talking about good, hard intelligence.
And it's not just the Iranians that Baer feels we need to look into. It's also the Israelis.
Someone mentioned in there that you had said something real quickly about someone should write a book about the white van. What did you mean by that?
Well, there was an incident where there was a white van in New Jersey across from the World Trade Center, and 5 Israelis, probably Mossad, were giving the high five after the World Trade Center was hit. And they were arrested and then immediately spirited out of the country. The investigation was taken away at the Justice Department from terrorism and put in national security, completely sealed off. If you can look at it benignly, it was the Israelis stumbled across this, didn't believe it, or worse. I just don't know, but the parameters of people knew about this, of 9/11 in advance, are there, and they need to be investigated.
Yeah, because thank you for answering that, because I had the question I posed to Chief Hayden when he was here. I asked him, I was like, is it possible that these Mossad assets were in place in New Jersey in order to film the first hit? And there's actually a lot of reports that they were there set up before the first plane hit.
They were set up before the first plane hit.
So you can confirm that, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, they were set up there before.
As always, Baer plays the "I'm not saying it was" game and tries to give himself plausible deniability. But he also lies about facts. There were some Israeli citizens in a white van who were detained after other people observed them laughing or behaving oddly while the 2 towers were burning. But they were not filming prior to the first plane hitting the first tower, and there is zero reason to believe that they had any advanced knowledge of the attack. Baer's actions here are particularly troubling, given the history of connections between Jew-hating and conspiracy theories. There is no way that a man of his intelligence and background is unaware of the fact that he was blowing a huge dog whistle. Given this pattern of dishonest and disturbing behavior, it's hard to say what Mr. Baer actually believes about anything. But his most dishonest and disturbing project to date is the Hunting Hitler show, which claims that Hitler might not have committed suicide in Berlin and may have run away to South America, where he lived for many years.
The timeline fits. He could have made it out on the 21st. That's very clear to me. I think that's a crucial piece of evidence.
I already made a video explaining some of the fraudulent ways in which this show operates. But I need to reiterate a couple of points here, because what Bob Baer says in this promotional video is just a pack of lies.
So we both came into this total skeptics, and we both came in dealing with the facts as if they really mattered. We're not historians sitting in a library. We're not going through archives and giving our opinion, well, it could happen this way or that, or giving weight to one guy after another. We treat facts as if they matter. Well, I think, first of all, we just simply can't ever forget the Holocaust and that there was one man behind it. And anything connected to his life, the facts, just can't be forgotten. Because if we do forget it, it will occur again. Yeah. But for me, on a personal level, I was surprised how sloppy the history of this was, Hitler's disappearance. That we've simply accepted secondhand witnesses, nonsense, missing forensics and the rest of it. And people say definitively he died in the bunker and that's the end of the story. And anybody who believes different entertains conspiracy theories. Well, having looked at the evidence, it's clear to me there is none. And it's clear to me he could have got away. And I think we owe it to ourselves as human beings to deal in history and the facts. Otherwise, we get completely lost.
We know what Hitler did every day until his suicide, from first-hand witnesses and documentary evidence, like the messages and orders sent to and from Hitler's bunker. We also have eyewitness accounts of his dead body being taken from the bunker and burned as his final orders demanded, along with forensic evidence of his dental records that prove the remains were his. Hunting Hitler is not dealing in facts, and Bob Baer is not doing humanity a great service with his phony investigation. He is only serving to make Holocaust denial and other conspiracy theories more socially acceptable by completely severing history from reality. So why is Robert Baer still employed as an expert on TV and in print? Why isn't his nonsense called out as nonsense? And why isn't he labeled for what he is, a conspiracy theorist? I leave you to answer those questions for yourself.